Sumerian and Mesopotamian life was based on clay, just as our own economic and social structure, our books, court and tax records, commercial contracts, marriage licenses, and so on, is based on paper. Temples, courts, and trading houses contained tablets of wet clay on which scribes might inscribe decisions, agreements, letters, or compute prices, wages, the area of a field, or the number of bricks needed in a construction. Clay is also an important raw material for making everyday items, as well as containers for storing and transporting commodities. It was also used to manufacture bricks, which enabled the construction of residences for common people, palaces for the rulers, and majestic temples for the gods. Reinforcing and baking are two technological advances credited to the Sumerians that allowed all clay objects to combine lightness with tensile strength. Reinforced concrete, an exceedingly powerful building material, can be made by pouring cement into molds holding iron rods, as was found by modern builders. But long before the Sumerians gave their bricks enormous strength by mixing wet clay with chopped reeds, or straw. They also recognized that baking clay products in a kiln give them a tensile strength and durability. These technological advancements enabled the world's first high-rise buildings and archways, as well as long-lasting ceramic products. The advent of the kiln, a furnace that could reach high but controlled temperatures without including polluting items such as dust or ashes into the product, paved the way for an even larger technological leap, the Age of Metals. Around 6000 BCE, it's thought that man learned he could hammer soft stones, naturally occurring nuggets of gold, copper, and silver compounds, into useful or pleasing shapes. The first hammer-metalled items were discovered in the Zagros and Taurus mountain highlands. In the Near East, the supply of local copper was quickly exhausted and the miner had to turn to ores, according to R.J. Forbes, in the birthplace of Old World Metallurgy. This necessitated the knowledge and skill to locate and collect ores, crush them, and then smelt and purify them, procedures that could not have been possible without the use of kiln-type furnaces and other modern technologies. The capacity to mix copper with other metals was soon added to the art of metallurgy, culminating in bronze, a castable, hard but malleable metal. Our first metallurgical age, the Bronze Age, was also a Mesopotamian contribution to modern civilization. Metals trade accounted for a large portion of ancient commerce. It was also the foundation for the formation of banking and the first monies, the silver shekel, weighted ingot, in Mesopotamia. The numerous types of metals and alloys for which Sumerian and Akkadian names have been discovered, as well as the rich technological terminology, attest to ancient Mesopotamia's high degree of metallurgy. For a long time, this perplexed historians because Sumer was bereft of metal ores, despite the fact that metallurgy began there. Energy is the answer. Without enough fuel to heat the kilns, crucibles, and furnaces, smelting, refining, and alloying, as well as casting, would be impossible. We know that many times ovens were set up in special areas where, at the right time of year, fierce winds would blow through, allowing the kilns to reach temperatures not usually attainable. Mesopotamia may have been devoid of ores, but it was awash in fuels. As a result, the ores were transported to the fuels, which explains why many early inscriptions mention the transport of metal ore from afar. Bitumens and asphalts, petroleum compounds that naturally crept to the surface in many parts of Mesopotamia, were the fuels that propelled Sumer to technological supremacy. From the beginning to the end of the Roman era, R.J. Forbes, Bitumen and Petroleum in Antiquity, demonstrates that the ancient world's primary source of fuel was Mesopotamia's surface deposits. He concludes the technological usage of these petroleum compounds began in Sumer around 3500 BCE, and that Sumerian knowledge of the fuels and their qualities was higher than that of later civilizations. The Sumerian usage of petroleum compounds was so widespread, not just as fuel but also as a road-building material, waterproofing, caulking, painting, cementing, and molding, that researchers discovered ancient ore buried in a mound, nicknamed Mound of Bitumen, by nearby Arabs. According to Forbes, every genus and variation of bituminous compounds found in Mesopotamia had terms in Sumerian. Indeed, the name of bituminous and petroleum materials in various languages, Akkadian, Hebrew, Egypt, Coptic, Greek, Latin, and Sanskrit, can all be traced back to Sumerian origins. For example, the most frequent term for petroleum, naphtha, comes from napatu, flaring stones. Petroleum products were also essential to Sumerian advanced chemistry. We could measure Sumerian expertise by the diversity of paints and pigments employed, as well as procedures like glazing, as well as the astonishing artificial fabrication of semi-precious stones, including a substitute for the highly sought-after lapis lazuli.